What's up, my man Steve? How are you doing, sir?
Good, my brother Bode. We are doing well.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. So, first of all, thank you so much for agreeing to this little hobby, side project, little fun thing. I'm very excited to be talking to you. Thank you for just making the time. I know you a busy man. You got a wife. You got four kids.
Three.
Yeah, three kids. Three kids, and
Yeah.
it's two girls, one boy.
Two girls, one boy. Yeah.
Two girls, one boy. Yeah, and I know you're super busy. And fortunately for us, this is kind of like a lull in our season. But I know that there's edits, gazillions of edits, and there's also college teams. So I appreciate you taking the time, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I feel special.
You are special. You are special. Well, listen, man, we're gonna dive right into this. I got a few questions for you, and this is just a little fun thing to kind of give people a peek behind the curtain. So my first question, I'm just get right into it. When and where did you get your start in cheerleading, and how did it evolve, and how did it transition into you becoming a cheer music? Well, actually, I guess before I ask the first question, I should probably tell people who you are. That was probably a rookie move on my part. So my main man, Steve, before I get into this question, I'll ask it again. But can you tell us, who you are, what you working with, what you do, and all that jazz, so that anybody who doesn't know can see who you are and what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Steve Pollock. I'm owner of Innovative Performance Productions, IPP Music, and I am a cheer music producer by day. I am a cheer music producer by evening and night, pretty much around the clock.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm a father of three, as you mentioned, and I help coach them in their gymnastics when I can, if I'm not in this chair.
Right. Awesome, man. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, again, rookie move. I think I was just, we've been boys for such a long time. I was like, yeah, I know exactly where you are and what you're doing. So,
Right? Yeah. Yeah. You forget that other people,
right,
other
right,
people need to know.
right. It's like my mom's going to watch this, and so she at least needs to know who you are. Um, okay, so now I'll try that one more time. Now that we know who you are and what you're doing, when and where did you get your start in cheerleading, and how did that evolve, and how did you transition to becoming a cheer music producer?
All right. It's a funny story, and I still laugh to this day because I can see it in my head. So my freshman year in college, I was leaving the cafeteria with my roommate, who coincidentally was a friend of mine growing up all throughout high school, junior high, and so forth. And we were leaving the cafeteria, and my college cheer team, I went to Northeastern University in Boston. They were, I won't say practicing, but just stunting around, fooling around outside the cafeteria trying to recruit. And I walked out, and a girl on the team walked up to me, who was the captain, and she said to me, this is a direct quote, "Hey, would you like to touch my butt?" And I said, "That sounds excellent. How does one do that?" And she said, "You just have to be a cheerleader and do this stunt." So she showed me how to do a toss chair. It took me one or two tries. I got it. And she said, "Wow, that was quick." And she said, "Would you be interested in joining the cheer team?" I said, let me think about it. Because, 2001, I was on the hockey team, just came out of, a senior year of playing hockey. I was at a private school. And I didn't know anything about cheerleading other than watching my sister do it once in a while for Pop Warner. And so I went to class, and there was a kid on the team in my class, again, coincidentally. And he said, "Hey, you thinking about it?" And I'm like, I'll come by and check it out. Went by one practice, was hooked because it was so challenging. I called my mom. I'm like, "Mom, you're never going to guess what team I just joined." She's like, "What?" I'm like, "The cheerleading team." And she's like, "You're joking." I said, "No, I'm not joking." I'm like, "This stuff is awesome. It's wicked hard, and it's crazy. It's a crazy workout. I'm strong enough from all my sports." So I stuck with it, and I did undergrad and grad school at Northeastern, so I was on the team for about 8 years. I think I took 1 year off because I had knee surgery. So that's how I got involved in cheer. And fast forward now, I still coach once in a while, just my kids, or if someone needs, my 2 cents, which isn't worth 2 cents anymore. Um, so that's how I got involved in cheer. And the evolution to music was rather easy because I was involved in music my entire life. My dad, my uncles, they're in bands. They taught me a few things. I got real interested in high school, learned how to use, all the programs, learned how to play piano, yada, yada. So I get to college, and there was a guy on the team who would always do the music each year. He graduated, and a new guy took over. And when that guy was set to graduate, since he knew my music background, he taught me. And he showed me how to do it back in Acid, like 1.0. And
Acid.
yeah, and he said, this is how you do the bells and whistles. This is what makes a cheer. And I said, all right, I'm going to take what I know, mix it with this new stuff that I'm learning, and see what we get. So that first year he graduated, I think it was 2006, 2007. That's when I did my first mix without any supervision. And there was another guy on the team who was a very talented musician. And I said, hey, do you want to help me with this mix for our team? I think it would be real cool if I've been listening around and I haven't heard anyone do any live instrumentation. So my very first mix, we had live drumming, live guitar, live bass. Singing wasn't a big thing back then for like a third party. Obviously a song, but there wasn't a lot of singers happening in the early 2000s. So we started introducing all of the live music and some vocalists that I really didn't hear much going on in that genre of singing. So that is how we got to where we are today. So flash forward 2006 until today, IPP was born.
Nice. Well, that's a perfect segue into my follow-up question is, how did IPP become IPP? Like, how did you know, this is not just a side hustle or like a little hobby, but like this is actually going to be, a business that I'm going to form. And then, obviously it transitioned into how you make your livelihood. Like, walk me through, that whole process.
Right. So the interesting thing is I didn't know. Everything kind of just started falling into place. So from 2006, when I did my very first mix with my buddy, until 2012, I owned a company with him. In 2012, we went our separate ways, and that's when I started IPP. And I was doing it full-time, but still coaching to make a little extra income. I was doing all-star and college coaching at the time. And IPP was doing pretty well, and my wife convinced me just to quit coaching and do this full-time. I was a little bit nervous because coaching was automatic guaranteed money. You're getting paid your hourly for practice, and then I would do, $200-300 worth of privates every day, 5 to 7 days a week.
Right.
Cash. And that cash, believe it or not, 15 years later is still in my safe. I never spent it.
Nice.
So I was skeptical, a little bit nervous to go full time. Orla was all about it, my wife. My family was, my grandmother was like, I don't know. Because, they come from old school. You got to get a job. You got to do this, that, and the other thing. So I'm like, I think I can make this a job. So once I started my own company, I paired up with a website developer, and he helped me build the online presence to where we started generating enough orders to make it full time. And now we have, 4 or 5 full-time people, a couple part-time people. So now we have a full, an operation that's running 9 to 5 every day, sometimes on the weekends. And it's not even it's like a double full-time job, as you know.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And for those that don't know, and you stop me if you want to, but there was a brief time where we were working together.
It was the best time of my life.
So I was, before I had partnered with New Level, I was kind of doing my own thing. I was a part owner of Go Fight Win,
Right.
and I was about to get married. And so, as you know, as a married man yourself, it's like that light switch hits, and you're like, well, now this is I'm not just doing this for me. Like, there's going to be somebody that is depending on me, counting on me to provide and all this other stuff. And so I was like, I needed some, and we were looking to buy a home. So
Korea. Oh,
I was
yeah.
about to get married. I'm looking to buy a home. I'm like, I just need anything. I said, if you have any extra work, send it my way. And I don't remember exactly, but I think, I had done around 100 projects for you that one year. And that was literally,
easily, yeah.
That was literally like the extra little, bit that I needed to be able to put the down payment on our first home, the home that I'm in right now. This studio that you see. Yeah. It's like, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for, me and Steve working together and getting those projects going, man. And I hope, and we've dabbled and kind of worked together on some things, here and there ever since, but that was a good time. So, just taking a moment to shout out to Steve at IPP and just for the opportunity. And I wouldn't be in this studio if it wasn't for you. So thank you.
Well,
thank you.
Thank you, my friend. Doing stuff with you was some of the best times of my life. You're one guy, seriously, you're one guy you can always count on. Well, hey, I need this done by this time. It's already done. Here you go. Thank you, Bode.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I think, and I noticed that I feel the same way about you. It's like you say what you mean and you mean what you say, and that's something that is. I don't want to necessarily say it's lost today, but it's definitely found few and far between. And it's something I can't even really take credit. It's something I picked up from my grandparents.
Right, right,
It was
right.
something. It's like it's kind of like an old school, traditional way of thinking of like, you if you say something, you do it, and you follow through and you stick to your word, and I think that's probably what connects us is probably a very similar values, and
Oh
then
yeah.
of course I think we have a very similar sense of humor as well. And I like the cold, and you're from Boston, and I
Oh,
think that just
we don't
I,
want to pan outside right now to the
yeah.
snow.
Are you got snow out there?
Not much, but it's there. I think it was 19 degrees this morning.
Whoo, 19, that sounds like heaven to me, man. I'm like, uh, well, we could, before I get distracted by how much I would like to live in Boston. And I really want a Boston accent. I need to live there for just like, 5 or 6 years and start saying like, oh, it's wicked, you're wicked smart. You parked the car in the Harvard Yard. That. I want to do that.
It took me years to lose that. So when
To,
I did my voiceovers, it was, Chia Extreme All Stars.
I would like
E-
to hear those
Everybody
voiceovers.
was always like, "What are these words you're saying?" I'm like, "Chia, chia." What do you mean, chia? Cheer. Right, chia. Chia Extreme.
That's awesome.
No, no, Steve. Oh. All right.
Okay. All right. So we got to get this back on track. That's awesome. Okay, so my next question for you is who were and who are some of your biggest influences? And this doesn't necessarily have to be just cheer music influences. Of course, that would be interesting, but like some real influence. I think you mentioned your dad and brother were in some bands, but can you tell me who your biggest influences were in regards to music in any capacity?
Oh, right. First and foremost, definitely my family. My dad and both my uncles were in bands together. As I mentioned, they taught me as much as they could. I took it from there. So they're always my biggest influences. I still ask them today, hey, does this sound good? What do you think about this? If I'm doing this harmony, what should be, what's the next part? And they'll give me their 2 cents. And then in terms of cheer music, I've always looked up to, Patrick. And even though I don't speak with JR anymore, I always still like to listen to his stuff. It's, inspirational.
Mm.
And it's always just what I need to get maybe an idea going. I always love to listen to everybody to spark some ideas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I see those two guys were one of my biggest influence when I first started.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm right there with you. Those are two of the biggest influences for me as far as cheer music goes. And I do the same thing. If I'm either in a rut, right? Like if I'm in the thick of the season and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
I'm kind of tapped out, I'll pull up YouTube, SoundCloud, like let me listen to some mixes, hear some good ideas, like, oh, I like that, pattern. And then it's like, now I'm ready to go. It's like, drinking coffee for your ears, right?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially after 2, 3, 4,000 mixes, how many times are we
Whew.
are the best? Yeah, I think we did close to 7,000 this year, and it's like you start to run out, and you
Yeah.
need a little bit of extra juice.
Yes.
It's like,
Yep.
hey, Bode, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? I totally, like I said, I totally understand that. And sometimes, I've done the live mix Mondays, and I, the I think that started because of you, if I remember correctly. I think
I
you
did
did
used to
one
do that. Yes,
back in the day, but that
I
was
used to do them.
years and
Yeah,
years ago.
yeah, I did them for like two years straight,
Yeah,
and then I stopped just because the time wasn't permitting.
yeah.
And then you started doing it, and I'm like, Bode's is better than mine. I'm not even gonna try to do it again. I'm just gonna watch his for inspiration.
That's crazy. I completely forgot that I totally got the idea from you. That I totally got that idea from you, and it was like it was a brilliant idea, and I think I know that people that are actually my friends, whether they're in cheerleading or not, like they just enjoy kind of seeing what I do. That because to them, I'm like I sit in the office all day and I'm just like
Right.
clicking away, and like they don't have any. So for them to see like, oh no, this is actually work, and there's creative process to it, and there's a lot of moving parts, and so I've gotten some good feedback from people that are not even in cheerleading, but I completely forgot. I was totally inspired by you. Oh my
Well,
gosh.
thank you, but yours is incredible. That's literally the reason I didn't do it. I think I did it for 14 and 15, and when I moved to New Hampshire, when they changed the music rules, I stopped doing it. It
Huh.
just wasn't time. And then you
Yeah.
started. I don't know when you started. A few years ago.
I think the first time I did it was like 17, 18, I think,
Yeah,
when we
okay, yeah,
first
that,
got in here.
yeah, right, that
Yeah.
tracks then, yeah, because that's when I
Yeah.
stopped and I'm like, Bo's is way better than mine. He's way more animated. He's way more likable.
I don't know
We'll
about
let,
that, but
we'll
yeah,
let him have it. We'll let him have it.
well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much. Okay, so we got your influences, and now talking about how the live mix kind of pulls the curtain back. I want to pull the curtain back a little bit and ask you, can you walk me through your process, like from the moment you get an email or a notification that a customer has booked a mix? Like, all right, what's step one to completed mix?
Great, yeah. So as soon as they order, as you know, they submit their information, and as soon as we have all of that, we'll begin the mix. And we gather all the info from them for vocals and song ideas. And we make some notes, talk to the artist, say, hey, they're looking for such and such a theme. But they also want to include some of their gym lingo. They want to make sure you include the mascot, but tie the mascot into the team. So we go back and forth on that for a day or so,
Mm-hmm.
until the artists feel like, all right, I got what you're stepping in.
Yep.
And then they start to go to work recording. And as they're recording, on my side, we're compiling songs and making sure that the songs that they want actually work. Because as you know, a lot of the times they pick songs and they sound good in and of themselves, but in the compilation, they don't sound that great because, we have a big, hard hitting EDM, nice, maybe, ballad, open ballad for your stunt. And then we go into maybe something more hip hoppy that doesn't really, it's lacking because the tempo is a little bit too slow.
Mm-hmm.
You speed it up, it sounds like Chipmunks.
Right.
Take it at the regular tempo, it just doesn't fit. So we make sure that everything fits. And once it's all fit, it's sent to our different producers, and they can begin creating the routine from the count sheets, the videos, and the written instructions from the coach. They complete the mix in full. They then send it to me. I review it, and if there's something that needs to be changed, I'll change it, and I'll look at the notes and say, oh, you know what? They wanted this. We could do this a little bit better. I'll make the adjustment, and then I save it, print it, send it off.
Nice. So you yourself are hands-on with every single mix that comes through IPP.
Yeah, I touch every single mix.
So all seven, you said you did 7,000 this year.
Yeah.
So you yourself handled you touched 7,000 cheer mixes this year.
Right, which is why I say I do this beyond full time, as you know.
That is those are astronomical numbers, and I don't know how you do it, sir. That is crazy. But
Yeah,
hats off to you. And
thank you. Yeah, I want to make sure I touch everything. So at the end of the day, it's oh, I thought this, but I thought I was getting this, and I want to make sure that we get ahead of those concerns. So I make sure I touch everything. I voice what needs to be voiced, with voiceovers or raps, wherever. My guys do a chunk of it, but they're like, hey, it'll be awesome if me and you went back and forth versus me this whole time. Okay,
right.
yeah, we'll add that dynamic.
Yeah.
Well, so I touch, I mix down, and I master every single mix.
Outstanding. And I should, again, just rookie move. I probably should have mentioned this at the top of the show too, but like you have been my music guy for years. The first time we ever interacted was when I was at Gym Time. This was 2013, 2014. And you did you did my Junior 3 Gym Time Silver. Shout out, the best level 3 team in the world to ever exist. We lost that's a little satirical. We lost every single competition all year long until the last bid event of the season, where we got a paid bid to the summit, and then they went and won summit, which was bonkers. Like they just lose all day. Like every competition, lose. Then we win our last competition, paid bid, then we win the summit. You did that mix, sir.
Oh, so thank you.
You forever. And then, obviously the following years, not only at Gym Time, but when I came back to California All Stars, there was a time where either I didn't want to, or just wasn't in the cards and in the contracts, for the people who make those decisions.
Right.
Either I didn't want to because I wasn't comfortable mixing for a team that I coached, or just wasn't permitted in the, the contracts and how things worked out. But you've been my music guy for years, and I've always been super happy. And I think it's safe to say last year we collaborated on, all three of the tracks that we worked together on. And that was a really cool
that
thing.
Was awesome.
That was awesome.
Cool.
That was very cool. That was the first time I'd ever done like a tag team mix, where like we
Yeah,
were sending the
I
project
would,
back and forth.
dude, I want to do that all the time. I say that to people all the time. Like, you order the mix, I did it, and then when it came time for edits or remix, you were like, yo, let me take a stab at it, then I'll send it back, and then you can add, a couple flair things here and there, and
Yeah.
then we printed it off, and I think it was awesome. I
Man.
loved because, the stuff you did, I learned something new. Bo does it this way. It seems to be a little bit better. Let me, incorporate that into my workflow. And
Yeah.
that was an
And
amazing collaboration. I reference those mixes almost every week, if
really.
not if not more than that. Yeah.
I mean, I think that those mixes, and of course, they mean a lot to me because they're teams that I coach, but it was such a, sometimes I don't want to call us artists. I definitely don't want to call me an artist, but I know that sometimes artists can be, particular. Like they have a certain vision and they want to kind of hold it close to the vest. And
Right.
I think it just speaks to who you are as a person, your character, that you were open enough that I even felt comfortable asking, like, "Hey, can I get a crack at these?" And it's like you're like, "Yeah, man, no problem, send it off." And we were able to work back and forth and send the project back and forth. And again, when I got those projects and I got to see and kind of dive in, I'm like, oh, those drum patterns are sick. Or I really like the way that you
Right.
did that. And so it's
Right.
like, I'm learning from what you're doing, and we're just, that collaborative process makes it so much more fun and interesting. And yeah, that was really cool. That was really cool.
Right. That's one of my favorite things about cheer. I was trying to explain this to someone who's not involved in cheer last week. Is even though everybody ends up being competitors, whether you're a vendor like us or you're actually on a team, everybody is still friends and willing to collaborate and share things so we can
Yep.
continue growing. And I
Yep.
love that because, like, if I get stuck with something, oh man, I don't know what to say here. I've done this 4 different times. How can I do it new this time? I can just say, hey, Bo, do you have an idea for this?
Yep.
What could I do here? Do you have a drum sample that I might be missing that would be more beneficial for the mix? And then you'll be like, yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, right here, I got these couple things for you in the return. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And that's,
you hit the nail on the head. It's like there's an old saying, I'm gonna butcher what it is, and as soon as we're done, I'm gonna look it up, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. But it's like we are all in this alone but together, right? Like we're all
right.
doing our own thing, but we're all going in the same direction. And the vast majority of us as cheer music producers, like we're all friends, and even if we're not friends, the way that I consider you and I friends, but like we're all pleasant acquaintances. It's like there's plenty for everybody to eat. There's plenty of room at the table, and there's really
Right.
very little animosity or any between any of us. Like the vast majority, I'd say 95% of us music producers, we know each other, we communicate with each other, we're in like little Facebook groups and group texts and stuff. And yeah, it's really cool. It's a really cool,
Oh,
it's a fraternity. It's an exclusive fraternity.
yeah. I mean, I have group texts on my phone that consist of other cheer music producers, guys and girls, and we just four-way, three-way chat. Hey, what's going on? What'd you do? Hey, great job on that so-and-so mix. Hey, what do you got coming up? Am I going to see you at Cheersport? Am I going to see you at World? Every
Yeah.
every week, there's something to talk about and share.
Yeah.
And
Which
yeah,
coaches and gym owners, let it be known, we talk to each other. So when you have some outstanding balances, or if you're not a very pleasant, if you're not a very pleasant customer, right? Like we talk to each other. We talk to each other. So
yeah, hey, get the heads up when someone wants to
yeah,
skip town, run to
yeah,
the next
it's
gym.
yep, exactly. Okay, so speaking of customers, and this may or may not involve customers, my next question to you, sir,
Yeah.
is what are, and I know we talked about this before we started recording, but I want you to kind of dive in and just paint a picture for people. What are some of the craziest obstacles you've overcome or just had to kind of push your way through with being a full-time cheer music producer?
Oh yeah, as we were mentioning, the biggest thing is making sure that all our tools are always up to date and working. There's been multiple times for me, and I know this goes for a lot of other people, where either a session crashes and you lose the info, or you completely just, the file just disappears from your drive. Hey, I thought I was working on this, but apparently I wasn't. And then the worst case that's happened to me a couple of times is you go to update an operating system or update something, and the computer just doesn't work anymore.
The
And then you gotta
worst.
bring it. You gotta go to the Mac store or someone who does PC, and you're gonna sit there and wait a week or two until they come back with the computer fix. And in the meantime, you gotta tell everybody sorry.
Yeah.
And that
Yep.
that then it always seems to happen right in the peak moment of the season.
Right, and it never happens like in May. right?
No,
June.
never once in the summer has my computer not worked.
No,
It's
just
always
like
it's always in
October.
the fall.
Right, right, right. Okay, so and speaking of that, you actually your youngest was born in peak music season. So tell me a little bit about that. What's it like to, have your wife be pregnant during season and then give birth in the peak season?
Right. So pretty much all three of my kids were born relatively close to peak season. So starting with my youngest, he was born at the end of September, just a few days before October. And as you know, August, September, October, those are critical. You're getting thousands of orders in those months.
Yeah.
And it gets challenging because, up all night with the baby, 6 a.m. comes fast to get back to the desk. Or
Yeah.
if you're doing a late night session, I used to do tons of late night sessions. Artists would come over till 2, 3 in the morning, and then we'd be up at 6:30, maybe 7, to get the kids off to daycare. Or if they were home with me, I would sit here with them next to me in their little rocker when I would be rocking it with one foot while mixing.
Yep.
And like all three of them were born just around that time. So then my oldest was in December. Granted, that's towards the end, but as soon as we hit the new year, college picks up like crazy, and we do a lot of
Yep.
college mixes, both on the custom and pre-made side. So I got her next to me while I'm trying to bang out Oklahoma State or a big school that wants a powerful mix because they're a contender every year to win, and I'm sitting there typing away, clicking buttons, adding sound effects, rocking with one foot.
Right.
Yeah. And then my middle, same thing. She was born in July, and that's the season used to be thicker then because everything has seemed to shift since COVID.
Yep.
Everything now, a bulk used to come in July, and now it's more towards August, September.
Yeah.
But then, it goes a little bit longer where around February, March, there'd be nothing left. Now February, March is thick.
Yeah.
So everything seemed to shift. So when she was born in 2016, those orders are still flying in July, and I'm sitting there in the hospital room. Oh my God,
Yeah.
53 orders. This baby gotta come quick.
Yeah. Man, and listen, I think we both need to shout out our wives, and I mean, I can imagine. I also know there was a time when Orla was doing your like a lot of the admin stuff for you as well.
Oh,
but
yeah, she was working full time for the Air Force, doing
And-
IPP admin, and we
she
had
was in that
a
Gym
newborn.
Time Silver mix. She was a vocal. She said Gym Time Silver in that mix, that first mix you did for me. Your wife was in that mix. I remember that.
Awesome. Yeah, she still does it, and now my girls do it too. If
That's
it's a younger mix, they'll throw at the end stars.
Yeah.
They love it. Dad, what? Look, I wrote. I'm like, what'd you write? She's like, I got the whole opening for Oklahoma State done. I'm like, really? Get on the mic.
There you go. Yeah, put them to work.
Yeah,
That's
they help me all the time with the voiceovers. They'll come up with some killer ideas, and I just manipulate it, to make it a little bit more appropriate because they get a little too aggressive.
Yeah, sometimes. I've thrown my son on one mix, my oldest, and talking about when they were born. My oldest was born December 28th, so it's that sweet spot, right after Christmas, before New Year's. So it's like kind of a built-in break as a coach and a music producer. And then my youngest was born July 18th, so he was born after COVID. So like doing a lot of vocal work and a lot of writing sessions, but not any heavy in the season. It's just the good Lord took care of me. First of all, by giving me boys. And second of all, by making them born in December and July. Yeah, I remember when you told me your wife was due in either September or October, and I was like, oh man, I don't know how you're gonna do it.
Yeah, and that was unexpected also, so that made it even more challenging.
Surprise.
Because you would plan accordingly. Say, hey,
Right.
Okay, you're pregnant here. The due date's this. Let me talk to my office admin and clear some room. But that's not what happened.
No, not at all.
And even though you have 9 months to plan, I usually, I do everything at least a year in advance. Like when I need to clear a schedule, we'll start now for this time next year. That way, there's no issue with people booking when I'm not around.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I tell people all the time, anybody that asks, I shouldn't say I just tell people, anybody that ever asks, like the two best gifts you could give me as a music producer is information. Like if you give me all the information, give me everything, give me your colors, your team info, team breaks, team sayings, hashtags, give me all the information you can possibly think of.
Even if you don't think you need it, yeah.
Right. And time. If you give me
Oh my God, you
those
beat
two
me to it. I'm
things,
going to say time first.
balloons. The peace sign does balloons. All right.
Either
but
that
yeah,
or it's really excited. of what we
It
said.
was. But it's like, if you give me info and time, like, I'm gonna knock it out of the park for you, you know. And
Right.
there's people that, just like you said, there's people that are already booked for next season. I've already started writing. I've already got artists that are gonna start recording things just in a few weeks for next season. It's like those mixes are gonna be the best ones, you know. And it's like, that's, yeah. I'm right there with you with doing things in advance and planning it out. And yeah, that's what makes it the best.
Yeah, speaking of that prep work, which coming back to what I was saying about my kids and the vocals, I remember we were sitting at Daytona, not this past college nationals, but last year, and Oklahoma State didn't win.
Mm.
No, this past one, yeah, they didn't win this past one, 23. And the second the scores came up and they didn't win, my older daughter opened up my laptop, took out Google, the Word doc and Google Docs, and
Yeah.
she made a whole spreadsheet called "How to Defeat Louisville."
Oh no.
And she wrote down all the steps, all the voiceovers that she thought would beat them. And she has a whole spreadsheet that she wrote in April of, what did I say, October, April of 23. And
Yeah.
when I'm doing Oklahoma now as we speak, so I pull up that
Pull up
Google
that.
Doc, I take all their ideas and start throwing them in.
There you go, man. That's all. Yeah, you're gonna hand the baton to her. She'll just take the family trade as she moves on. That's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's incredible.
That's so cool.
A
That's
whole,
so
a
your
whole year
kids
in the
go.
making.
That's awesome. So your kids go with you to Daytona to watch.
Oh, they love it. Yeah, my oldest daughter has been there. She's probably 5 or 6 times. We missed a couple, COVID. We missed the COVID 2020 and 2021 because of COVID. But prior
Yeah.
to that, she had been going like every year.
Wow, that's
And
awesome. That's
she
so
loves
cool.
it. I remember I have a video and a picture of Debbie Love holding her. She was only like, she was born in December and we went in April. So what's that? Not even 5 months. And
Yeah.
I have a picture of Debbie Love holding her in the circle with all the Oklahoma cheerleaders all around them. And the coach was giving, a little speech at the time. And there's my 5-month-old with Debbie Love.
That's awesome. Oh man, and
That's
shout
one of
out
my
to Debbie
favorite
Love,
pictures.
dude. She's
Oh, absolutely.
the goat. The goat.
She sends me a message every single day, 7 days a week
That's outstanding.
for the
I
last like
love
3 or
her.
4 years. Yeah.
I love her. She's incredible. She's incredible. Okay. Moving on to our next question. Do you remember, and I know you already talked about it, but do you remember your first mix that you ever did? Do you remember the first one?
Oh yeah, 2006, 2007 for my college team.
Okay. And
It was
do you remember
incredible.
any part of it? Like, could you recite any, vocals or anything from that mix?
Well, we were using the radio songs at that time, and
Right.
so a lot of the stuff we did was kind of, I call it remixing, if you will. I would take, I remember we did, I forget what Justin Timberlake song was hot at the time,
Mhm.
but was off his solo album. I can't remember the name of the song, but we did a section of that song live drumming, live guitar, live bass, and then I sang the lyrics, but I put a twist on it from our team.
Yeah.
I can't remember which song it was.
All right.
I want to say it was "What goes around, goes around, goes around, comes all the way back around."
There you go.
I want to
Yeah.
say it was that one, and we did our own little twist on it for Northeastern.
That's awesome. That's outstanding. Do you
Yeah,
have the mix on a hard drive somewhere?
I don't think so.
Man.
I have a bunch of drives in the attic with all my
Yeah.
archives. I don't know if they go back that far. They might only go back to like 2010.
Yeah.
I don't think. But it's you can find it easily though. Someone actually sent me a video of that performance not too long ago. Like
All right.
I mean, like a week or two ago.
So it's out there. We can find it.
Oh yeah. You can definitely you can definitely YouTube it.
All right. And tell me what we put in the YouTube search bar.
Probably just Northeastern University Daytona 2007.
Got it. I'll remember that. Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. You're going to say something. I don't want to cut you off.
No. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube because someone sent it to me via Facebook.
All right.
So it
All right,
must
well
be
then-
somewhere out there.
We know what to look for. Okay. So now my next question, and this one's going to this could be a hot take, but I'm going to ask you, and I just want you to go with your gut instinct. Okay. Give me your Mount Rushmore.
I'm preparing. Hold on.
Yep.
Okay.
Get ready. Give me your Mount Rushmore of mixes. So the best 4 mixes if you started in 2006. So the best 4 mixes you've heard from, when you started all the way to now, the best 4 mixes that come to your mind.
From me or just
Anybody. Listen,
Anybody. Ooh.
I've done this. I've played this game, and I've definitely used my own mixes on my Mount Rushmore. So there's no, you can use your own, no problem.
Oh, I won't do that. So thing one mix that's memorable because it was the first time that my wife was in a mix, and it was actually a mix that JR did for if you remember, I think it was 2009. It was an Illinois cheer company,
Hmm.
and JR started off with a voiceover that said, "Let's make some Illa noise," and then my wife came on and did like a whole 2/8 count talking little rap part, and then they did a couple back and forths.
Yeah.
And that mix for Illinois Chair Company. I don't remember which team it was, but I know that was a gym. They're not around anymore.
Okay.
But I remember that was the gym. And then another memorable mix will probably be like the first mix I ever heard someone else do. I think it was around 2006. It was either Louisville or a gym time mix that JR did. And a friend of mine was on the team at the time, Carlos Munoz, and he said, "Hey, I'm friends with JR. He's an incredible music guy. He's one of the originals. Check out some of his work. It may,
Hmm.
help you, understand how to, make it flow a little bit differently or better. See what everyone else is doing."
Yeah.
And he had a couple samples on his website, and I remember I just always used to listen to this gym time mix over and over again. I think it was in '06. And then one of my favorite is keeping with the gym time, that Black Smack mix, man. You remember when they
Do I
first?
remember? That's on my Mount Rushmore.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Five
I know
fingers to the
exactly.
face or something like that.
Yep.
Something around the
Oh
Sade, right?
yeah.
Something around that.
What did the five fingers say to the face?
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
smack. Yeah,
Smack. Yep.
bro.
That's probably my favorite mix of
Yep.
of all time.
Yep.
Um, Let me think of
Got
a couple,
one more for
couple
your Mount
others.
Rushmore.
Couple others. Okay. I'll tell you right now, and it's not going to be one. Any mix that Patrick did for Hawaii Pacific before I started doing Hawaii Pacific.
Mm.
So anything in that like 2008, 9, 10, 11 era was awesome. I used to listen to those on repeat.
Yeah, those are some bangers. Those Hawaii Pacific mixes were bangers for
Yeah,
sure.
like that 2010 era of music was incredible. Like the stuff Patrick was doing for Twist and Shout at the time when he
Yeah.
used to do for Worlds, he did ESPN. I think it was Tristan Allen did the vocal.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
me and my wife used to sing them all out in the cars all the time. Those mixes. She loved that voiceover.
Yeah. You're taking me back, man. Taking me back down
Yeah,
memory
that
lane.
had to have been the best era for cheer music and probably one of the best eras for music. Because
Yeah.
I put on my satellite XM radio. I go right to 2010's pop, man, and
Yeah.
all those songs are absolute bangers.
Yep. Oh man, those are good times, man. And those mixes, and it's like if you those mixes, the feeling that you get when you listen to them is so powerful, and it's so incredible that you don't even really pay attention to how terrible it sounds, like sonically in your ears, like
Oh,
the
I mean, at the
EQ
time
levels.
at the time though it was amazing.
Right,
He,
at the time. But you listen to it now, you're like, oh man, you got to turn that, you got to take those hertz down on, got to get rid of that low end. You got to cut some of that out. Or
yeah,
in
just
some cases, you got to pump up the low end. Like, I need more bass here.
right. Yeah, we have all that control now, but I mean, back then with what limited control we had, I mean, those mixes were still that era was still my favorite,
Yeah.
hands down.
Yeah. Yeah. All the feels, man, for sure. Okay. So now I'm going to go. This is like I don't want to say two-parter, but it's like two questions wrapped into one.
Yep.
Number one, is there anything in particular that you want to change? I did the thumbs up thing again. I keep forgetting about that.
I love it. I love that
anything-
feature.
I know, it's pretty cool. Is there anything that you want to change in the cheer music industry? And are there any things that you really, really like about, necessarily something that maybe your customers do, or just an experience that you have, with the changes of the music rules and all that? But is there anything that you want to change? And is there anything that stands out as like, I really, really enjoy this part of what I do?
No, I don't think I would change anything in terms of the music. I remember right before the music rules, I shouldn't say right before the music rules changed. It was around when they did the Champions League. Remember the first ever one, and they made the movie, and so
Yeah.
everything had to be original.
Yeah.
So I remember we heard about that. I didn't have any clients partaking in that right at the onset of the announcement. But I remember that Jamie Parrish called me and he was still with Georgia All Stars then, and he said, "Hey, we need an all original mix. I heard you might be able to do it." And I said, "All right." I said, "I would love to have you come in, and we'll set it up on the big screen. And we'll score it like a movie."
Yeah.
And he wasn't really into that. He had some of his own ideas.
Okay.
But I wanted to score it like a movie where it had continuity from the beginning to the end. So like I wanted to keep the key the same, so you wouldn't have these drastic key changes that might be like, oh, what just happened? So I wanted to keep the key the same, a lot of the instrumentation the same in terms of like the samples, but just change the way they're used. So maybe you use this sample in an open ballad for the stunt, but as you move to jumps, and maybe you did something halftime for jumps, but you still use some of the same sounds and samples, so it sounded like one continuous song with different genres within that song.
Right.
So almost like an A section, a B section, a C section, but it's still the same song.
Right.
And because around the 2000, I forget what year it was, but that Britney Spears song came out, and the song had all different sections. There was like an open ballad section, then there was a 4 on the floor EDM section, then there was a halftime section.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of the song. I just heard it the other day too. I can't remember, but I said it'll be awesome to model a song like that. I mean, a cheer mix like that, where it was the same song but different sections. And now, fast forward, that's kind of like the norm. That's kind of what we're doing essentially.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, I always keep the mix in the same key, so it's consistent. I'm not getting one section F minor, then it jumps to this, and it sounds awkward if I'm trying to do any crossfading or blending.
Yeah.
So I kind of have that a process now of kind of scoring it when they send the video and I put it up on the big screen, and we can go to work. I collaborate with my one of my engineers / producers out in Texas, and we look at the screen and go, all right, this is what I want for here, this is what I want for here. Make sure it's the same sample, just this time it's ballad, this time it's halftime, this time it's 4 on the floor, this time it's more trappy.
Yep.
Yeah, so I love that we have that control now.
Yes.
And that was one thing that I was trying to do back when I first started, but folks wanted, I need the newest Celine Dion song in my pyramid. And I'm like, what if we just like wrote our own?
Right. Yeah. And now that's what we all do.
And now that's what we do. Yeah.
Yep.
And then what was part 2?
So part 2 is just things like, what do you really enjoy? I think you kind of touched on it. Like, what are some of your favorite things about how, cheer music is made nowadays?
Yeah, I love the control, being able to kind of do what we want, especially when, you get a text or an email saying, hey, here's the information. I trust you.
Yeah.
That, then you can go to work.
Yeah.
You really can go to work and watch the video they send and really say, okay, I think this section definitely sounds best if we did boom, 4 on the floor hard, big doom, doom, doom kick for the standing tumbling.
Yeah.
I like that now.
Yep.
Versus them saying, oh, we definitely need this song. And I'm like, oh, but that song, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the tricky part is, we obviously want to make our customers happy, but sometimes our professional ears, right? We've been doing this for such a long time that sometimes our ears and, just even our brains are like, that's not going to work the way you think it is. But it's like, I want to make you happy, even if you're asking for something that isn't going to work the best way it possibly can.
Right. One of the hardest lessons to learn, and I still struggle today because everyone has a smidge of an ego somewhere, is I don't have to like it.
Right.
I've passed off mixes to clients, and I'm like, hey, this mix came out killer, and they'll respond back, I can't even show this to my team. And I'm like, what? I thought this was the best thing I've ever done.
Right.
And then you'll make something, and not that you don't try, but you do exactly what they asked, even though it's probably not the best, and you pass it off to them being skeptical, and they come back, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard, and I'm like, what is happening?
Yeah.
So I've learned that I don't have to like it, just the customer does, which is fine.
Yep, 100%.
But that's a lesson I'm still struggling with.
Oh man, same, absolutely same. Because I want to be in here in the studio, like I want to be, doing this, right? And it's like,
and you when you get there, because I mix super low to save my ears, like super low.
Yeah.
And I notice sometimes I'll be cranking. I'll be like, oh shit, I'm into this. Oh, crap, I'm into this part. I'm really
Yep.
into this part.
Yep.
So that,
It
yeah.
happens all the time. Something that popped into my head, just a memory when you were like, this mix, I sent it to a customer and I'm super skeptical and they love it, right? It was before the music rules changed. I did a mix that was a Great Gatsby theme. It was
Right.
a
Okay.
great Gatsby theme. And it's, you saw the Leo DiCaprio movie, right? So it's like it was almost like it's all the same old songs, but it was just new drums. But that's all it was.
Okay.
Like it still had the
Right.
horns and the trumpets and the
Right.
vocals, but it was new, like 4 on the floor kicks, right? So that was what they wanted. They're like, oh yeah, just do that for a cheer mix. First of all, I spent way too much time on it. I hated it. I hated this mix so much, and I was like, from this moment on, after this mix, I will never do a Great Gatsby theme. If anybody asks me for that, I'm like, you got to go to somewhere else. Like, I'm not doing this mix ever
Yeah,
again.
before the music rules changed, I did not like themes because
Dude.
because what happens is they say, I have a theme idea. I want to do fire, hot. Okay, great. And then they send you 10 songs with fire, hot lyrics and et cetera.
Right.
But, one's a nice new EDM electronic pop song, and then another one is 1960 Donna Summer.
Right. Then yeah,
Or
and then Jimi
1970s.
Hendrix, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all yeah. So the thought was like, I finished this Great Gatsby mix. I hated it. I still hate it to this day. I hate it, and I send it to the client, and I almost wrote like, "Don't ever ask me to do this again." Like, oh, it was that bad. But I send it to her within 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Like, she got it, listened to it, called me immediately. She's like, this is the best mix that I've ever gotten in my entire life. You're my music producer for the rest of the time I own this gym.
For life.
Yeah. And I told her, I was like, oh, thank you so much. I'm so glad you like it. Like, maybe we can collaborate in the future on your theme ideas. I was like,
Yeah. A gentle nudge. Yeah.
Yeah. But I hated it, and they were over the like, they were like, this is the best music we've ever had. I was like, I don't get it. And I've had the same that you talked about too, of like, you're like, I'm bumping it. I'm like, dude, I'm playing it for my kids, my wife. I send it to the client. They're like, do you have time for a phone call so we can? I'm like, oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, your heart literally just falls on the floor, and you get that stomach feeling. Oh my god.
Right.
Because you don't know what to do.
No.
Hey, we need to fix this. And I'm like, how?
Right.
I did everything I already thought I could.
Right.
So I'm like, oof.
And I always have those conversations because, we've already talked about it. It's like, you just want the customer to be happy. It's like, I'll do whatever you ask. I'll do whatever you ask. It was just like, it is, you have to have I don't want to say no ego. You just have to have your ego under control, right? Because when they do hit you with that, like, hey, can we talk about a few changes? You're like, well, we could talk about it. And you're just like, my heart.
Yeah, because they're being nice, because the word few doesn't mean the same to them.
No.
To me, it's like, oh, the sound effect needs to go from 3 to 5.
Right.
That's few. They're like, oh, we need, after the running tumbling at the halfway point, throw that out.
Right.
Start again.
Like, from the minute 5 mark and beyond, we don't like any.
Yeah. And this weekend is the competition, so.
Right.
Just so you know.
Yeah, if maybe one day I'll do like a like a PSA or just like an informative video of like when a coach is like, hey, just one small change. I'm like, well, listen, I know that you're using those words because you don't want it to feel like it's an overwhelming amount. I said, but I just want to let you know. She gave you a little peek behind the curtain. Even right now, when you say you want to move a sound effect from 3 to 5, right? Well, there's a lot that has to go on. Number one, I got to make sure that the beats aren't hitting on that 5, right? So when I move that sound effect over. Now I got to drop out the beat. If the instrumentation is too much low end, then you're not going to hear the impact of the sound effects. And I got to remove that low end too. It's like there's so many things.
It's a whole process, right?
Right.
It's not just moving. You have to reconstruct that section, even if it's only a few counts.
Right. So moving 3 to 5, where for you it's like, just like click, drag. It's like, okay, in your brain, that's how simple it is, right? But it's click, drag about 4 or 5 times, depending on what you're moving, because we layer sound effects, right? So it's click, drag 4 or 5 times. Then you're going to go down, you're going to check out the EQ, and you're going to do all this stuff. Plus, it takes the time to, turn on the computer, open the spot. So it's like you're moving 3 to 5 at a minimum, and then you render the project, you listen to it all the way through, make sure nothing else happened, there's no glitch in the system. So moving that sound effect from 3 to 5, a minimum, that's a 30-minute endeavor. 30 minutes.
Right. Then you forget to set your loop region, and you send it to them like, this mix is only 7 seconds.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Loop region was wrong.
One day, one day maybe we'll do like a round table of all the producers, and we can help like break it down for the customers so they can see like and that's the thing. I'm more of like just be 100, like just be honest. When I get a message from a customer that's like, hey, how are you? I was like, just ask what you want to ask. just send me the text of like,
I
need,
know.
right. And I know they're trying to be sweet and they're trying to do all that stuff. So it's like, I'll do whatever you're asking. Like, you don't have to butter me up. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to.
Right. Because I assume you're not angry with me when you say, hey, can we get an adjustment? Just
right.
Hey, like today I went to the dentist. It was a great time. And then, so what about that sound effect?
Right. Okay, we'll save that for like a music producer roundtable. We'll do
that would be incredible. Yeah.
Okay, so now my last little question, and it's not even really a question. It's just an open forum. I don't even want to call this a platform because like I said, it's probably my mom's gonna be able to watch this, but and maybe your mom. But is there anything, I want to give you like the floor is yours. Is there anything that you want to say, to anybody out there? Do you want to shout out any customers? Do you want to give any props to anybody, like, a mentor, a teacher, anybody, anything you want to say to anybody? The floor is all yours, and then we'll wrap it up.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Shout outs to all of the IPP clients, whether you're new or old. Coincidentally, with this question, I was just in Hawaii visiting a client at the end of December into the new year. I went out and spent the day with her at her gym, and she is technically my oldest client at the now, because I had another client who was like maybe one season older, and they left this year after, I don't know, 13 years or so. So she's my oldest client now. So, and I talked to her, on email or social media. She likes to hit me up on Instagram to discuss things, whatever. That's fine. But I never actually got to meet her and hang out. Mm-hmm. So I finally got a chance to go over to Hawaii and get over to her gym. The gym name is Aloha Cheer Academy. The owner is Blossom, and she's amazing. She treated us to a great day, and I love that she's been with us the whole time, and she says she's not going anywhere because she gets exactly what she wants, and sometimes even more. So I really appreciate that. And then shout out to all the people who came before us, Patrick, JR, Chat, you know the names. They set the way, and we Patrick and JR are still going, but we still, we took what they started and have moved it now in this direction of where now, not by our choice, but everything is now full custom. And I personally love that route. I was going to try to go that route regardless of rule changes. Yeah. But anyways, they pioneered the way, and they deserve the shout out.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo that 100%. All right, man. Well, before we go, I want to tell the people, my mom, your mom, whoever else is watching, where can we find you? How do we get a hold of you? Let's say somebody wants to, follow you on IG, Twitter, Facebook, all that. Somebody wants to book a mix. Give them all the info right now.
Sure. If you want to just get a hold of us in general, email's a nice, easy way. info@ippmusic.com. The website is ippmusic.com. We also chat feature. You can go back and forth there. And then we're all over social media. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, SoundCloud, everything is just at IPP Music.
Here we go.
So give us a follow, click a like, leave a comment. We'd appreciate it all.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, we'll link all that stuff when we post this.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you again for coming on, man. This was a blast, and I think the gears are turning on doing like a cheer music producer roundtable. We might have to make that happen.
Oh, yeah. And listen, I'm going to say this now because more cheer people is going to hear this. And I've been wanting to do this for years. I think we should all collaborate on a universal 8-count track in the off season. That is the cheerleading music 8-count track that all teams use. Because one, that would be super fun. First and foremost. And two, so many people will send me a new level count track or a mix that someone else did that they use as their, count track to run the routine. And then I got to text Patrick or someone say, hey, what BPM is this? Because I really can't hear it because it's echoey. And, what, you can let me know. And then I wait for the response. And, everyone always responds. But it'd be nice to just have it once something standard. I think that'd be cool.
That's a great idea. That's a really good idea. If we all
Yeah.
just collabed and put, and there's more music producers than there are even sections in a routine. But if we all just kind of work together and maybe put some, like everybody had their hand in that pot, whether it be like writing or performing or an artist that they have, or, yeah, that's a really good idea. All right.
Yeah.
Look at you dropping all that. You inspired Live Mix Mondays. You inspired doing, all kinds of, you inspired all the something that you said earlier that was like so beautifully put, and it makes so much sense, is like you wanted to see the routine and score it like a movie. But it's like
Yeah.
that's what we do now. We get the video, right? We put it on our TV. I don't know what everybody's setup is like. It's like we put it on our TV and we really are scoring it like it's a movie. Like this section needs to be more of a ballad and this section needs to be, yeah. And you put that brilliant. You're a very smart man, Stephen Pollock.
Oh,
Very smart
thank you.
man. Very smart man.
I try. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we'll get a roundtable going and we'll have you back for that.
All right, brother. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right, man. Have a good one.
We'll talk soon.
Bye.